I used to see cases and I'd be like, I don't want to tackle it, or maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe I shouldn't present it. But when you have control, when you have that ability to do it in the practice, it changes your eyes, it changes your confidence, it changes how you deliver the care. To be able to offer different restorations for patients has been game-changing for me. You don't have to jump off the cliff, you can go step by step. Hey, I'm Dr. Tarun Agarwal. Most people call me T-Bone. I make these videos because I almost went broke listening to advice from coaches and dentists who haven't been practicing or who don't know what's going on in today's dentistry. If you own a practice or building towards one and you're tired of putting in more than you're getting back, you're in the right place. Today, we're talking about developing your own in-practice laboratory. Let's get to work. One of the most common questions I get is, should I build my own lab? I've been doing chairside CAD/CAM dentistry using CEREC for 25 years, but it was a limitation. There was a ceiling. It was not big cases, and honestly, as my practice evolved over the years, I needed another solution. I wish I did it sooner, but it took me longer than I wanted to get there. For me, it's more about where I want to get to. And so having a laboratory was going to make me future-proof and ready to do bigger cases, made me more confident in presenting bigger cases. When patients would come in and they needed more complex care, I knew we were able to handle it. Step one is you got to decide what type of dentistry you're trying to do. And for me, the best way to do this was I just looked at the dentistry I was already sending out, and I went to the lab and I said, how do we do this? What products do you need? What equipment do you need? And most labs will tell you, most salespeople will tell you what you need. And I started making a list. And I started comparing, hey, do I want to go all in? What is the starting point to it? And I started looking at what equipment options existed. And we just started making a list. Then I started making the budget. And one by one, I just kept adding until we had the capabilities that we need. So operationally, this is probably the hardest question and the most confusing question for most dentists. How do I get this started? So there's kind of two paths you can take. Path one is you can say, you know what, I'm building a lab. And that's, you go buy the equipment, you hire a lab tech, you start from scratch, and you just fund this until you become ready. That's not how I've always done things. I've always done things incrementally to prove the concept, to make sure that it's going to work, and kind of make it comfortable for me economically. So for me, I bought the baseline equipment that would get me started, the design, a single puck milling unit, and then I turned to one of my dental assistants who had artistic capability, who had desires, who had an interest, and then we started building it slowly. Now the trouble is, how do I have somebody that needs to be in the lab 3 days a week, but next to me doing dentistry 3 days a week? Once that happens is now you have to transition to having a full-time dedicated practice laboratory person. The reality is most dental practices don't need a full-time laboratory. They need laboratory person to make the restorations as needed. This is something that can easily be done 1 or 2 days per week by a dental team member. What I saw operationally was an increase in caseload. We started getting better results, which then propelled and created this momentum of more and more patients wanting that type of dentistry, which has slowly transformed my part of the practice to literally only doing large, complex cases. One of the things technology has always done for me, it's given me confidence. And that confidence allows me to see dentistry differently. You know, I used to see cases and I'd be like, I don't want to tackle it, or there'd be this hesitation that said, maybe I shouldn't do this, or maybe I shouldn't present it. But when you have control, when you have that ability to do it in the practice, it changes your eyes, it changes your confidence, it changes how you come across to the patient, it changes how you deliver the care. And that creates a snowball of momentum that transforms your practice. So what you misunderstand is that you need to be the lab tech. You got to buy all this equipment. You got to go all in. And it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, if you're already doing chairside dentistry, you have half the equipment already. It may be a matter of just adding one piece of equipment that unlocks the potential. This, like everything else in dentistry, you don't have to jump off the cliff. You can go step by step. I think what dentists are scared about is who's going to do the work. It's just one more team member that they're not comfortable with. And that's why I push and promote that we should do a dental assistant. The other benefit of dental assistant is It allows you to keep people, it allows you to expand people. They learn new things, they learn new skill sets. The same dental assistant that's assisting me chairside, they've seen the tooth shade, they've seen the patient, they've listened to the patient, they've heard what the patient wants, and now when they go to actually fabricate everything, that's right here. That level of communication that happens right there, that's the real advantage from a predictability and an outcomes perspective, is being able to do it right then and there. In dentistry, the worst thing that can happen is you have to do a remake. You lose chair time. It's the most expensive overhead item in a dental practice, is your chair time. So every time you have to bring a patient back because you miscommunicated something. You know, for example, recently we had a patient that wasn't sure which tooth color she wanted. A traditional lab would charge me twice to make that in 2 different colors. For me, it's a matter of just making it here in the office at a fraction of the cost, because it's just a materials cost. And then we can put both in the patient's mouth, allow the patient to see, let the patient choose. And now instead of having to bring the patient back, we're done in 1 day. That ability for your patient to see that, to feel that, like that's what dentistry is about. That's delivering the patient experience. So how do you justify this financially? It's hard to justify it directly, okay? But here's what I'll tell you. What once cost $4,000 at a laboratory to have made, now costs me $500 to have made. But that's not the important part. The important part to me is the flexibility it gives me in pricing for patients. The other part that's important, it allows me to be more competitive in the market than other dentists. Let's talk about the economics of this, okay? So right here, what I'm holding in my hand, this is a $200, $250 puck, and I can make a full arch implant restoration. This would normally cost me $3,000 to $5,000 at a laboratory. We can manufacture this in our office for around $500 all in. Now, what's more important to me is this gives me price flexibility. So now I can be more competitive in my market, and I can be more adaptable to patients to meet them where they're at. So let's keep talking about economics. Right here, this puck, about $250, probably a little bit less. Now we're suddenly, instead of sending things to the laboratory, paying $100, $150 for a restoration, now we have a manufacturing cost of $10 to $15 here in the practice. Here's some bridges, implant bridges, same concept. The reality is this does make economic sense for you, but I want you to keep remembering, it's about the patient experience. It's about getting started faster, it's about finishing faster, creating predictability and excellent results for your customers. Where's the easiest and fastest way to get started with a dental laboratory? I think it's one of 2 things. If you're an implant dentist, your implant restorations, easy unlock. If you're a cosmetic dentist, your cosmetic cases, easy unlock. These are cases that are very predictable and yield amazing results. Now, once you get started with that, then the next step is complex implant cases, full arch implant cases, full mouth rehabs, and then the list keeps going on. Then you go into trial smiles, then you go into provisionals. Next thing you know, it's a full lab from everything from beginning to end. You want to start a practice lab, you just don't know where to start. Let's break this down. Number 1, remember, you got to have digital capture. That's non-negotiable. So you got your digital impressions, you got a way to digitize it, you got a way to get it. Now, the big question is, I got to create things. Okay, so now we have the choices of chairside mills, 3D printers, 5-axis mills, and then the list goes on and on. The easiest and fastest and best place to start is 3D printing. It unlocks new things for your practice that you weren't doing before. Things like trial smiles, things like custom provisionals, things like surgical guides, things like dental models, like night guards. The list goes on and on. Super easy, super effective, low barrier of entry. Once you get comfortable with the 3D printing, then don't stop there. That's when I want you to double down, I want you to push, and I want you to look at 5-axis milling. 5-axis milling will unlock the capabilities of being a full dental laboratory within your practice. Where dentists make the biggest mistake is they try to ROI the laboratory, and it's hard to ROI. You've got the cost of the equipment to do the laboratory work, and then that's offset by the lab fees that you used to pay to a third-party service. And those numbers are harder and harder to justify. Let me walk you through the anatomy of a dental lab, from everything from A to Z, okay? Number 1, it's your ability to capture the digital information. I know that's not lab equipment, but that's chairside. If you're not doing digital impressions, that's step 1. If you're not doing digital impressions, what world are you living in at this point in time? But the easiest and most common starting point is going to be chairside CAD/CAM milling. Okay, that's your CEREC machine, your Glidewell fast mill, different things like that allow you to make single tooth crowns that same day within an hour for your patient. So who's running the lab here at Raleigh Dental Arts? So right now we have my dental assistant running the lab 2 days a week, and we're in that expansion phase where we're getting ready to take it up to a full-time position. Now I oversee things, I'm part of it, I'm part of the design process, part of the approval process, but honestly 95% of it's run by my dental assistant. The lab, as you see it here at Raleigh Dental Arts, is 3 years in the making. It's transformed over time. What I've enjoyed the most is the control and the predictability. That ability to have confidence that I know what I can do for my patients, to be able to offer different restorations for patients has been game-changing for me. Where do I see it going in the future? I don't see us stopping. I see us becoming a full-service solution so that we can answer every patient question and do every bit of dentistry in the practice.